Amanda, the Pay It Forward Mom. Happy Thursday. Hope you guys are doing totally awesome today. I'm happy to be here talking with you. I'm going to go into a little bit of a deeper subject today than I did on Monday and broach the topic of marriage, love and marriage. I told you guys that I was going to go into this, and honestly, I've kind of been putting it off because it makes me feel a little nervous. But real quickly, I wanted to answer a question I got twice just yesterday, and that is why I decided to go the YouTube route versus podcasts and what I think about doing podcasts. I'm going to be very honest with you. I am not really familiar with podcasting at all. Just literally a week ago, because I was being asked about it, I plugged into the podcast app on the iPhone and listened to one. I don't even know how to look up the topics and find all of the fun podcasts. It is something that I'd love to learn more about, and as you guys know, I'm super into trying new things. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I wanted to talk about it because I noticed yesterday both women said that they just find it very easy to listen to podcasts when they're on the treadmill at the gym. So I wanted to make sure everyone knows that you can actually, you can pull up YouTube in your gym or wherever is convenient and plug in your headphones and listen to it that way. You don't even have to watch. I was more familiar with YouTube, and I like the fact that you can see people. I feel like even in blogging, just anything written, text messages, things can kind of get lost in translation, and a person's tone says a lot about what they're saying. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get that text and you're like, is she mad? Or was she saying no thanks, like, oh, no thanks? Or was it like, no thanks? You know what I mean? So seeing someone when they're speaking, I think really helps get the point across of what you're trying to say and shows sincerity. So that's why I chose to go this route, but I am not opposed to it. If someone wants to send me their favorite podcasts, I would love to hear them. And then we'll see where this goes. Okay, on to the bigger topic at hand. I'm very nervous. Last year, for about a year, my husband and I were having a lot of struggles, and we decided in the spring of 2017 that we were going to separate. I ask if you know us personally and are listening to this in front of your children to not tell them this information, because throughout everything we went through, my kids had no idea what was going on. And I say that they did have an idea something was going on, but we never got to the point where we were sitting down and telling them, and I'll get into all that and how that played out. But I would just really appreciate it if we kept this as an adult conversation and didn't tell their peers. So moving on, it was April, May that we decided to definitely go ahead. See, I'm nervous. I'm like messing with my shirt and my hair. April, May that we decided to go ahead and do it. We signed the paperwork in June to make the separation legal. And though I want to be candid with you guys, I don't really want to go into all of the things or the bigger situation that was causing the problems. And I will say that it has nothing to do with anything huge or scandalous. There were no affairs. There was nothing juicy like that. But it just got to the point where we didn't see it being able to get worked out. And I am definitely not an advocate for divorce at all, but I'm also not an advocate for staying very unhappy or in an unhealthy situation. You know, in any sense. I don't think that's great for the kids either. And I've also seen families that kind of stay together for the kids, and then once they hit college age, they find out their parents are getting a divorce, and it's completely devastating. I mean, I think it's devastating regardless of the age, hence why we were putting it off until everything was 150% set in stone. But in the situations where I've seen where kids are just getting started as adults, and they are so nervous about everything, and they're going out into the world for the first time by themselves, and then everything falls apart at home. I've just seen that road be really nasty and scary, and I'm not an advocate for that either. So we were just trying our best, and so many people whom I would tell, and I didn't even know how to go about it. Like, do you put something out there? You know, I know a lot of people in this community, and I knew that people were talking, and that's a really bad feeling. So I would suggest to anyone who knows somebody, and I'm not talking, you know, amongst your closest friends, because obviously you're going to talk to your girlfriends about things you hear and whatnot, but it was groups of people that I knew from their school that were asking friends of mine whom I don't even really know, you know, and that was very hurtful to me. And I feel like as women, we should know better than that. Obviously, it was a very, very, very hard time. I'd say the hardest time that I've ever had. And feeling like you're being talked about as soon as you walked away isn't good. So even if you have the urge to say, you know, did you hear what's going on in so-and-so's personal life as soon as so-and-so walks away, try to fight that urge, because it really stinks. So June, we signed the paperwork. My kids get out of school a little earlier than the county does here where we live. So pretty much right after they got out of school, I had planned some different trips with them, just me and the kids, that we would go on. And then I spent a lot of time home in Virginia Beach. So if he was here with the kids, I'd kind of be there. And I mean, there were times where we were here overnight, of course, in the same home, but he had moved into another room and and we kind of were living like the definition of co-parenting, actually, but under the same roof. So that show that just started, I think it's on ABC, Splitting Up Together. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, but we've watched it a few times, and it's funny because that's kind of how it was. Like, we don't have a shed in the backyard, but pretty much same sort of thing. So we were able to get away with the children not knowing much of anything, and everything stayed very, very civil, thankfully. I saw a lawyer, as did he, that we could go to if things were to change, but neither one of us wanted that at all. So it wasn't until the fall that we had set up a mediation date, and we were about to go to mediation to start trying to divide everything evenly and figure out a plan for the kids and the finances and all of that. And I was literally freaking out, guys. I mean, just crying constantly from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. I remember calling my partner, Cody, who does the Hampton Roads Mom Prom with me, one day, and she would call to check on me, and I was just like talking in circles, and I wouldn't remember what I was saying. Like, I literally felt like I was losing my mind, and I was like, we can't do this, you know, it's just not, it's not what either of us want, and there's got to be another way. So that's when we started having the conversation, and it was like late October, to try and work it out. And honestly, things didn't get a whole lot better, because it was weird to go from living like that to just like back to normal. Like, that wasn't going to happen at all. And there was still a lot of anger, probably on both sides, towards one another, and unresolved issues. So it wasn't until right after Christmas that I would say that things really started to change. And when people ask, I can say for the first time in years, and in June we will have been married for 10 years, that I feel so positive and optimistic about the future of our relationship. And that's really exciting, because like I said, it's been a while since I've been able to say that, and I'm sure that he would say the same thing. But something that I got a whole lot when we first started telling people was, you guys have the perfect marriage. What? You guys are the perfect family. What's going on? And that's when I really wanted to kind of put something out there. I didn't. This will be the first time I'm saying something more on a public platform. But it really, really bothers me that that is the image that we're putting out, because I don't mean for it to be. And I want you guys to know that this isn't perfect. We're just trying our best like everyone else. And a lot of times we're failing. Right now things are pretty good, and God, I hope they stay that way. But I don't think that there is such a thing as a perfect marriage. I haven't seen one yet. If you have one, congratulations. If you could write a book, that would be great. But you know, we're just trying the best we can like everybody else. It's funny, I don't mean to jump around. I'm just trying to talk it out. My kids at the time, they've all had birthdays since this went down, but they were roughly 4, 6, and 8. And the middle child, my middle daughter, she was the most observant of them all. Even my son, who was 8, he was kind of like in La La Land. But one day we were on the way to her sporting practice, and it was just her and I in the car, which doesn't happen very often. She said, "Mommy, I feel like things are changing and I don't want them to change." And my heart just broke. And that was very early. That was before the papers were even signed in June. So for her to notice that so quickly and easily, it would be very naive for me to think that just because we didn't sit down and have a conversation, that wasn't going through their mind. My son did ask in like November, which was after we were trying to, you know, work things out, and things were better in my mind, if we were getting divorced. And it really took me aback, and I felt like, if anything, he would ask that question over the summer when things were much different than how we were living at the time. But you just don't know how kids are processing things or just realizing things. He also has more friends now with parents who have gone through it, so maybe he can look at that and say, you know, so-and-so's parents are divorced, is that what's going to happen here? But we really try to, even when we have disagreements, to not fight. It's not like a volatile situation, you know, and a lot of my family wouldn't understand because it didn't seem that bad, but it's hard to understand unless you're living it day to day. And I just really feel like we need to be more supportive of each other when we're going through things like this. You really find out it's different, because some people that you would think would be there 150% may not agree with the decisions that you're making and not be as supportive, whereas people who you think of more as, you know, an associate versus a friend may come through and really be a friend in the time of need. I spoke to so many people during that time. One of the most supportive things I found, there is a lot of articles on the Huffington Post. There's actually a marriage section. One writer in particular, Katie Bingham Smith, she's a Facebook friend of mine now. We ended up chatting a couple times over Messenger about some of the pieces that she wrote, because their situation, just having 3 children, not hating each other at all, actually wanting the best for each other. It felt like we had a lot in common, and she was very supportive. So I definitely recommend, if you are going through something similar, to find your support group and hold on dear to them, because that will be your rock. I definitely can say that it feels, when you're going through that, it feels like someone's dying, actually. That's the only thing I can compare it to, because it's like you're losing this huge thing and this huge part of your life, and you have control over it, but kind of, you know, you don't have full control over it, and it's really, really hard. And I didn't even go through the entire thing, so I can't imagine. And I thought of it before this as something, you know, like what, 50% of couples get divorced. So many of my friends have gone through it. Like, if she can do it, so can I, which is true. I mean, I could have. I would have been fine in the long run, but it's not what I wanted. And I know that no one gets married thinking you're gonna get divorced. No one wants that. We just need to give credit to those who have been through it, because it's a nightmare, and come out relatively unscathed or just partially scathed. I had a girlfriend reach out a couple weeks ago for advice. You know, Chris and I seem to be doing really well. What are we doing differently? Are we going to counseling? And let me just say that we did counseling about 4 years ago now, and we did it when all this happened. It seems very conflicting that I feel this way because I did a human service program and specialized in social work. I took so many counseling classes. I do think that counseling is effective. I just don't necessarily know that our experience was very effective. But I do know a lot of couples that go preemptively, and one in particular says it helps so much when they hit a rough patch that they have these tactics and tools, things to go back on that they learn in counseling. So we honestly are not going right now, but we probably should, and we need to do better and make more of an effort to do that. So I can't exactly say, I know that's not really helpful one way or the other, but if you feel like it's worth a shot, you know, try anything, any and everything. You know, if you are so far gone, so far miserable, and both of you want to, you know, move on to other chapters, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Some friends may not believe in what you're doing, and you may lose some people, but you're going to gain some people as well. And the people that you gain, those are the ones that are really your people. Those are the ones that will be there for you through thick and thin and not judge your decisions, even if it's not for them. And that's, you know, it stinks to have to go through really hard times to find out who your people are. But once you do, take it seriously. The bottom line is I wanted to just put it out there because, like, over the weekend, for example, I said we had people over, and I mentioned something to a girlfriend, and she said, yeah, I knew something was up, but I just didn't want to say anything because you had never mentioned it to me. So there it is. It was a very messy 6 months. Maybe I'll go into more of the fun stuff later on, but the big picture is, the big point that I want to make is that there is no such thing as a perfect relationship, as a perfect marriage, as a perfect family. And we're all trying our best. So please stop comparing yourself to things you see on the internet. Just because I only post or someone else only posts the happy time of the day doesn't mean there wasn't an argument later on. And you can't compare yourself to the highlight reel. I'll probably say that over and over and over again because I really, really believe in it. So if you guys have any questions about what I went through, feel free, even if you don't feel comfortable here, Facebook, Instagram message. I'll put all of my social media info, and I would love to be a helper or just a listener for anyone going through things like that, because we definitely, both Chris and I get it, and I know he's had some friends reach out to him, and it's kind of I wouldn't say easier because there's nothing easy about it, but it feels kind of good to talk to people who understand what you're going through. And like I said, we didn't go through it, thankfully, but it was a very rough, long period of time where that's, you know, if you had asked either one of us, we would have said that was going to be the end result. I mean, everyone, their principals, the kids, all their coaches, everyone knew, just because I was worried about them acting out or things changing for them in their environments, and I wanted everyone to be on board and know what was going on at home and be transparent in that way. I just want you guys to be happy, and I want you to know that there are people, there are resources that you may not even realize, friends that have been through similar things, and I wish all the best for you guys, always. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. I've been filming little clips, and inevitably I end up posting them on Snapchat because I just can't help myself. But I want to do maybe once a week, like on Fridays, kind of show how our week was and what we did. I've got a big weekend coming up. I'm so excited. The creator of the event, Bloom, it's the premier Richmond Mom event. It's huge. It's at a local hospital. There's tons of vendors, and you have lunch and massage, and you're totally pampered. And then everyone moves into a ballroom space and there's a panelist of moms, and I've been asked to be on the panel and I'm so excited. I think it's so funny though that they called it an expert panel, because I'm like the most candid about being a non-expert. But I'm really excited. I think the direction that I'm gonna go is going to have to do with fundraising and fundraising with children, and I just can't wait to go into that and meet so many moms from our area. My son has a football game Saturday and he is going to the playoffs, so they're going to be, which that really stinks. I don't know if I mentioned here, but Chris and I are the coach of the football team for school. And that's kind of something that we did. I saw the opportunity and I'm like, yep, we'll sign up to do that together because we need to do more things together. And everyone was telling us that when we started working on things, that we had to, you know, and they tell you that when you first get married and when you first have kids, you've got to set aside time for you guys and date each other. Okay. Yes, that is very true, but it gets very, very, very hard. And if you had told me that 10 years ago, I would have said, no, Chris and I will be different. We are definitely always going to take time for each other, and we're always going to have date nights once a month. Or, you know, fast forward, you've got 3 kids, you've got stuff every single night of the week, every day, you're busy, you're tired. I mean, I fell asleep last night. We always play HQ trivia in the evenings. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but you should definitely do it. It's so fun. It's like a live trivia game. We have fun with that, but I played HQ at 9. I was out by, you know, 9:03, and I fell asleep and I slept all night. I was so tired. It's hard. It's very, very, very hard. And then you think, okay, so if we go out, even to an early dinner one night, you need to feel like $1 million the next day because you've got to be going, and that's not always going to happen. If you don't get home, you know, until 10 from a dinner, you're not going to wind down, you're going to be exhausted the next day. So anyway, back to football. I thought that would be a nice thing for the 2 of us to do together, and it has been super fun. The stinky part is on Saturday, and guys, I'm trying so hard not to throw the F-bomb around everywhere because typically I'm very sailor, but on this channel, I'm really trying hard because I want you guys to be able to listen to it as you're doing things, and you may have kids in the room. So anyway, it's stinky when things like this happen on Saturday because he's made the playoffs, so they'll have maybe 3 games that I won't be able to attend because of the balloon thing, but I'm so excited for the opportunity. Carter honestly could care less, so that's great. And they're hoping to be able to wrap up and shoot over and see the last bit of the part where we're up speaking. So Friday we're having family pictures, and I thought that was going to be, I saw a advertisement for a session for Mother's Day. It was a mommy and me session. So I booked it thinking that the kids and I, we've never had pictures done together, and we could give those to Chris for Father's Day or his birthday is over the summer. But the more I thought about it, just with everything we went through last summer, I would hate for him to see that we had pictures done without him and feel any sort of way that was negative. So I approached the photographer and she said that she would be happy to make it a family session. So we're going to do that instead on Friday afternoon. I hope this was helpful to someone, to anyone listening, to know that everyone has their struggles. No one is 100%, and that you are not alone. And I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. I'm gonna try to get that video together for tomorrow of little things that we've done this week. But if not, I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.